Like, when she realized where it was, she's like, well, that's 5 hours away. I'm not going to drive 5 hours for $1,000. I wouldn't either, but why are you looking at a post from that far away? Hey, welcome back to my channel. So I decided today I was going to tell you the wonderful story of everything I had to go through from selling my vehicle. And I finally sold it last Sunday, which was Easter, but hey, I sold it. Please be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. And now I'll get into it. So one would think it wouldn't be that hard to sell a car, right? Just post it and see if you have anybody who's interested. Well, for the longest time, I had no one interested. And then I got a few that were asking about it and were curious on how it would go. Well, one person was like, oh, I want your car, but can I have more pictures? So I went and I got pictures of the car. And then my phone was acting up, so I did updates. So of course, once I did the updates, do you think I could find any of these messages from people? Nope, they all disappeared. So then I went a whole 12 hours without being able to find those messages. And somehow the phone was like, oh, hey, you have all these people asking you about your car and you haven't responded, blah, 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 or about the post. So then I was finally able to respond. Well, the first person, let's call him person A from North Liberty. He was like, oh, I'm interested in $1,200 for your car. He's like, just let me know. I'll be coming from North Liberty. I just gotta rent a flatbed to pick it up. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Let's do that. And then I sat around all day. And I mean, all day. Never showed up. Never. And I responded. I was like, hey, are you coming? No response. And then I was like, if you don't respond, I'm going to go to the next person. Still didn't respond. So I just said, you know what? Whatever. I'll go to the next person. Well, the other person who was after that, I had told previously, well, I have somebody who's offering me higher. If they fall through, I'll go to you. So they were like, okay, whatever. Well, then when that person didn't, I responded to them. They're like, oh, I'm no longer interested. Fine, whatever. Then I had this other person that was like, oh, I'll give you 1,000. At this point, I was like, you know what? If somebody's going to give me 1,000 for it, I'll take it. She's like, okay, this person, let's call her Z, person Z. She's like, oh, I'm just trying to figure out where you're from. Well, I clicked on her picture and it just kept saying stuff from like Nebraska, Omaha, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Well, come to find out, no, that's where she's from. And even though I had it placed in Monticello, Iowa, she was looking at it from Nebraska. That's 5 hours away. I'm not going to drive 5 hours for $1,000. I wouldn't either, but why are you looking at a post from that far away? So then after dealing with those people, I swear it was like a month before I got another person interested. But it seemed like every day at like 2 a.m, I'd get a message saying, is this car still available? And then I would always respond, yes. And I'd hear nothing. So it was almost like as if Facebook was like trying to see if it was a legitimate ad or if it was bogus, or who knows. They were always weird names. They weren't normal names. And then I finally got another one, and it was a male. Let's call him male B. Well, he said that he would come out. He wanted to test drive it, and I said, yeah, that's fine. So he comes out. He comes out with his friend, and luckily I'm at my friend Barbara's, and I tell her to come out with me just because, I don't want to be there by myself. So she came outside, and they were looking it over, and they didn't speak English. Like, the one guy spoke very broken English, but like he kept going to his phone to translate it, which fine, whatever, if you want to take my car, take my car. And then I offered for him to test drive it, which he was from like Coralville, North Liberty, so he didn't know the area, so I went with him. Fine, whatever, because he wanted to go to get up to speed, so he wanted to get to 151. So I get in the car with him, and I'm like telling him how to go to get there, and he's asking me questions about the car. Totally fine. And then he's like, is that your mom? I'm like, what? He's like, back there, was that your mom? And I was like, no, that's my friend. And then I start talking about the car again. And then he's like, do you live there? I literally was like, no. And he's like, oh, well, where do you live? And I wanted to be like, is this 20 questions? This isn't a date. I'm just trying to sell my car. But I don't know. It was very sketchy. He kept asking me personal questions. He kept asking me where I lived, if I had kids, if I had a boyfriend. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just trying to sell you my car. I didn't say that because I didn't want to be mean, because I was just, trying to get it so he'd buy my car. And then he kept trying to say, oh, well, this is wrong. Oh, you have this wrong with the car. And I'm like, no, that's not. He's like, oh, no, that's what that noise is. And I just got to the point where I was like, whatever. No matter what I say, you're going to tell me there's something wrong with the car. I'm not a mechanic, but he wasn't either. But I know he was just trying to scam me out of money. But then we get back to my friend's place, and he puts it in park. And he's like, well, don't you like that car? And I was like, what car? And he was pointing to the car that they came in that had temporary license plates from Illinois. And so I think he was wanting to like trade me. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, you want me to trade vehicles for a car that I don't want that has temporary license plates from Illinois? No. But no, I told him, no, I'm not looking for a vehicle. I'm just wanting to sell this one. He's like, well, I got to think about it. I'll go somewhere and then I'll get back to you. I'm like, fine, whatever. Well, like an hour later, he got back to me saying that he wasn't interested. He'd have to put in too much money to fix it, blah, 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 blah. I was like, you know what? Fine, whatever. And then the next day, he messaged me again, saying, oh, I'm sorry that I didn't buy the car. I hope it wasn't in, it was a paragraph long of a response. Needless to say, I blocked him. I didn't respond, and I'm so glad I didn't have him meet at my place. I'm pretty sure, though, that he's not going to show up there since I told him that was my friend's place. But that would have been really creepy. So be careful who you respond to, and make sure never to go anywhere by yourself. At least make sure there's somebody else there, because if I would have been there by myself, I'm not going to lie, I don't know what, something bad could have happened. But anyway, now we'll get on to the person who actually bought my car. I'm sure she's an absolute sweetheart. I'm sure. But I don't think all the brain cells are there. I know that's kind of mean, but okay, so here's the story. I'm sleeping because, I'm not working right now and I'm not doing anything. So that means, of course, I'm up all night, and I sleep until probably like 11 noon most days. Well, I was barely awake, or had just gotten to sleep. And then all of a sudden, I heard my phone buzz, which meant that I had a message. And this was probably at I want to say 9:30. And it said, is this car still available? I responded, yes. 10 o'clock, I received a message saying, could I come and get it today? And I responded, yes, just let me know when. And then around 10:15, 10:20, we decide that they're going to meet me, and they wanted to know if they could meet me halfway. Well, I didn't know where halfway was for them, so I looked on their Facebook page, and it said they were from Washington, Iowa. I was like, oh, okay. Well, before I decided I would meet them halfway, I had to call to see if there was somebody I could come meet me, either Tabby or my brother. Well, Tabby didn't answer her phone, so I got a hold of my brother, and I was like, hey, could you meet me in Cedar Rapids somewhere, and because I'm going to sell my car? And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever, just let me know when. Well, so I messaged her back, and I was like, yeah, I can meet you in Cedar Rapids. It takes me about between 40 and 50 minutes to get there from where I'm at, depending on where we meet. Where would you like to meet? And she's like, yeah, let's do that. It takes me about an hour and 20 minutes to get there. But can you give me 2 hours? I literally just woke up. I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then I responded again, where would you like to meet? She didn't respond. So I said, well, I thought, you're coming from Washington, south of Iowa City. So I sent a message saying, why don't we just meet at the Casey's off of 380? That's the airport exit. For the people in Cedar Rapids, it's a Just Diesel Casey's. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure, sounds fine. Give me about 2 hours. Okay. So somebody tells you, give me 2 hours. What does that mean to you? To me, this is what I thought, honest to gosh. Okay, she just got up, takes an hour and 20 minutes. She's got to get ready, so she'll be there in 2 hours, right? Maybe? No, that's not what she meant. What she meant was it would take her 2 hours from the time that she responded to before she'd be ready to leave. So I'm sitting there at Just Diesel. 12:30 rolls around. She's not there yet. I'm like, okay. My brother's like, have you messaged them? Do you know they're coming? And I was like, no, I'll just give them a few more minutes. She just woke up. 12:40. I receive a message. We're just not leaving. We'll be there in an hour. 12:40. I expected them to be there at 12:30. And they're just now leaving. Awesome. So I tell my brother that, and he's like, really? And I was like, well, apparently I misunderstood. I'm sorry. So needless to say, we're sitting, chilling out in the Casey's parking lot, Totally awesome. Well, 2 o'clock rolls around. They're still not there. An hour and 20 minutes, that is. So I messaged them saying, just curious, how much longer do you think you'll be? And she responds, oh, we're just leaving Iowa City now, so it'll probably be another 20 minutes, hon. Okay, you want to call me hon? Whatever. You're coming. And then she responds with, so, do you want to meet at Walmart on Edgewood Road, I think it is called? I thought we agreed we were meeting at Casey's, 'cause it's closer. So I literally responded, I thought we were meeting at Casey's. It's right off the 380. It's closer. I'm like, but if you want, we can meet at that Walmart. And she responds, oh, that would make more sense. It is closer. Wow. Yeah. That was just the beginning. Or I should say the middle. So then we're sitting there waiting. And she never got back to me. And then she was like, you know what? No, that does make sense. I'll meet you at Casey's, because then after we purchase it, then we can drive to Walmart and we'll have more room. Do whatever you please. I just thought it would make more sense to, meet there so they wouldn't have to go into town if they didn't want to. So if they wanted to test drive it out on 380 going up speed, they can, whatever. But yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. Anyway, so then she gets there, and of course, since they were 3 hours later than they were, an hour and a half, 2 hours later than I thought they were going to be, it starts raining. Because why not? Well, I tell her, you know what? You can just test drive it. I gave her the keys, let her get in and drive it, because it was her and her sister, is what she said, drove it. And I know some of you are like, why would you let her give her the keys when you're right that close to 380? Well, what is she going to do? Steal the car? The license plates were still on it. I had my insurance information and I had my registration on me. So all I would had to do was call the cops and been like, hey, this person took off with my car. This is a VIN number and this is a license plate number. I'd rather do that than me be in the car and then do something to me. Or at least that's my opinion. So she goes and she drives, whatever. She comes back, she's like, oh, I really like it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a really nice car. The only reason I'm getting rid of it is because I'm leaving. And they were both like, yeah, it's a really, really good car. And I was like, yeah, awesome. I figured she was going to say, oh, I don't want it for this much or whatever. But no, she took it at full price for $1,500. And this is so funny. So she's like, so I was talking to some of my friends and they told me Cedar Rapids was really sketchy and you got to be careful. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so I got money orders instead of just cash. Because at first I thought she was giving me checks. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll take a money order. And so she had 2 money orders. One was for 1,000, one was for 500. And she's handing them to me. And she's all like, yeah, I did it this way so that, like, if I was going to get robbed, not to say that you would have, but if I was going to, I'd be able to get my money back. I'm like, yeah, that's feasible. Well, I don't know how many of you have gotten money orders before. Money, yeah. Well, these were the ones from Walmart. They print off your money order, and then there's that little receipt. You're supposed to take off the receipt and keep the receipt for yourself because that receipt has a number that you would call if you were robbed or it was stolen or it was damaged. Her giving that to me would not have saved her in any sense. Not that I was gonna rob her, but you know, like this late, she was just, I just felt so bad for her because I don't want to say she wasn't intelligent, but yeah, they weren't the sharpest crayons in the box. Let's just put it that way. She was a very nice lady, don't get me wrong. And it's so funny because, so after she got done test driving it, she gave me the check, or the 2 money orders. And so then I took those, put them in my brother's car right away. And then I got the title out and was writing it. And her boyfriend or husband, I don't know what it was, he's like, oh, I want to drive it. And she's like, no. And then I guess she finally gave in. And as I was giving her the title, the next words out of her mouth were, well, don't get into an accident and kill yourself. I already gave her the money. So that either means that 1, he didn't have a license, or 2, he was a really bad driver, or 3, both, you know. But I was like, you know what, whatever. I got my $1,500. That's all I can care about. And they were really nice people, but let's just say what my brother said was the funniest thing ever, which it's on my phone, so I can't look up the exact words. But basically what he said was, you just sold your car to a crack whore with her pimp, and it's probably going to be their new drug runner, and so you should probably watch, and it'll probably end up on the news. I told my brother, that's not very nice. And he's like, well, you should put a tracker on it so you could see where all it went. I'm like, really? No, I don't want to know. I'm like, I got my money. Yeah, she was a little bit space cadet. Yeah, she was probably on something. Could that have been her pimp? Maybe. Probably wouldn't be that surprised. But you know what? She was nice. She bought it at the price I was asking for, which was, I was really surprised. But I don't know. I just never, I couldn't believe that she was like, oh, Casey's? Yeah, I guess that would make sense. It is a little bit closer, isn't it? Yeah, so right off the interstate. But you know, I don't know. And then I had to wait for them to come back so I could get my license plates. But I guess I'm just really happy that she bought it. It is a nice car. I thought it was a nice car. I'm kind of sad that I no longer have it. I'm going to get a new one as soon as we move. But that's my story. So basically the moral of the story is, be careful how you post on Facebook when you're selling things, and make sure to never go someplace without somebody else with you, because there's some really creepy people out there. Anyway, that's all for now. Hopefully more news is to come in the future, because as of right now we plan on moving down there next weekend. So yes, thank you. Comment down below, like this video and subscribe, and I will hopefully have another video, if not next week, because I'm not really doing that much this week. Definitely the week after, since we should be moving down there next weekend, so like the 24th and 25th. So cross your fingers, I should be down in Georgia by then. Bye!